coming to you from London. Tonight we'll be tasting the following: our classic range. It is our core range, made up of Bruks, Ek, Rök, and Mack. As you can see in the picture below, as Gareth's pointing out, thank you, Gareth. If you buy that and you join us on one of these tastings, you'll get a free sample of our latest edition, which is the green tea, also known as Groente, which is green tea. Cast finish. Yeah, being South African, we get our head around these. And not only do you get the green tea for free, you also get what Matt has just shown everybody, one of these lovely Mackmyra tasting glasses. This is all part of the pack. You pay £23.90 and we give you free delivery for the cassette, the free green tea, and the glass. It's a bit of a bargain, guys, so join us in our next tasting. So as I said to you, tonight we'll be tasting the core range, and with me I have two fellow compatriots. I have Gareth. If you'd like to introduce yourself, Gareth.
Hi everyone, Gareth Bell, lifelong whiskey freak. Finally decided to chuck in the 9 to 5 last year and join the trade, and these guys give me a job, and I've loved it ever since. So I'm looking forward to the tasting tonight and explaining a little bit about our brand ethos and some of the products that we've got. Gareth,
just before we move on, and Matt, just hold your horses. I see there's guitars in the background. I mean, what is that?
Well, yeah, I used to have hair down to my bum in a heavy metal band 25 years ago. I reformed a heavy metal band recently, but yeah, we're still running a few songs. So I do a few things, but whiskey is one of the main things.
I believe we are doing a throwback to the 80s next week, Tuesday, I believe it is.
Heavy metal.
Heavy metal.
Yeah.
Rock on. So, guys, please don't miss it. We'll be doing something different that night, 1st of April. Put it in your diary.
Yeah.
And over to you, Matt. Matt, tell us a bit about you.
Well, guys, hi, I'm Matt Davey, and I'm a brand ambassador here in London for Mackmyra. I've been with the company for about 1.5 years. Absolute whiskey freak. Enjoying my single malts thoroughly, and yeah, looking forward to having a show with you guys and introducing you to some Swedish whiskey.
Thanks, Matt. And I'm Shane Perry. I'm the area sales manager for Southern England. I've been with the company about 2 years now, and these guys are both part of my team. We have some good news tonight, guys. In addition to the lovely products, we are giving away to our viewers a bottle, a 70 cl bottle of our new release, Groente. All you have to do, people, to win this lovely whiskey is you have to go online to one of our social media websites. Matt will put up the scrolling now for you to get onto them. But on Twitter, Facebook, and on LinkedIn, Instagram, sorry, and take a picture of you and a friend, or you and Mackmyra, and we'll select the winner, and we'll send you one of these bottles. We'll get in touch with you and send you one. It's really easy. Get a picture of you on there, tag us in it, and we'll send you one.
It's really good stuff as well. It's our latest release. Fantastic.
Not everybody's got this, people. This is what you want. This is what you want.
Yeah.
Especially
6,000 bottles release only, guys.
So take advantage, guys. Tonight only. So without further ado, should we kick off with tonight's tasting? What I'd like to do, guys, with your permission, is just take the people through a little bit of history of Mackmyra. I won't dwell on it too long, but I just want to bring people up to speed, people who haven't seen us, who don't know about Mackmyra, so they get a feel for what we do. So Mackmyra has been around for 20 years. How it all started was in 1998. Friends from university, there was 8 of them. They would go to a ski lodge where they would go ski every year, and the 8 friends would get together and they'd bring a bottle of whiskey, and you can see in the picture there they are, some of the founding members. And they talk about whiskey, drink whiskey, and ski. 2 pleasures in life. Unfortunately, in 1998, they sat around and they decided, well, there's a gap in the market in Sweden. Nobody is making Swedish whiskey. So they applied to the government, and in 1999, they were issued a license. And this was groundbreaking, because any of you who know the Swedish way of doing business in terms of alcohol, the laws, the regulations, it's all governed by the Swedish government. It was a milestone in the history of Swedish whiskey. They were the first distillery to be granted a license. So off they went. They had a license. Now they had to make whiskey. And obviously, you know, to make whiskey, it takes 3 years. So they had to find a venue, and they found an old iron ore mill called Brooks. And there's a picture of it. It is picture perfect, and that is exactly how it looks. And that's the water they used in the distilling process. It runs right under the mill, which was quite unique, in a little village called Mackmyra. And that's where it all started. They started with a still. The initial still was a 100-liter still, which they handcrafted, because they weren't sure when they developed this that this was going to work and was going to last. So they thought, well, we'll start small and see how we go. And anyone who knows anything about whiskey knows when you make whiskey, you need to cut the head and the tail off in the distilled product, and you take the heart of the whiskey to make whiskey. If you take 100 liters and you cut the head and the tail off, you only get 30 liters. Now, this is really important, guys. This is kind of laid bare how Mackmyra developed and how Mackmyra went forward, because 30-liter cask is synonymous with what we do in terms of our seasonals that we change every season, and the cask offering that we offer the customer and the trade. So they started making whiskey, and we have been making whiskey for the last 20 years. Our range, maybe should go on to the range. Our range is taken up into different parts. So we have a core range, which is what you're tasting tonight. Then we have a seasonal range, and by implication of the name, every season they change. Sometimes we'll bring out 2 seasonals, sometimes we'll bring out just 1 seasonal for a change of season. And then we have a top of a range called moments, which are limited. Their bottles are all numbered, and they can vary from as low as 800 bottles through to a maximum of about 4,500 bottles. Once they're made and once they've finished, we never remake the same ones again. It's just a tradition. We make it for enjoyment, we consume it, and then we move on. We never remake them again. Matt's showing you that you can get any of our products if you want to view any of our products or buy any of our products on the website below, .co.uk. You can even get casts on that. So we started making whiskey in the old distillery, and in 2009, we commissioned the building of our new distillery in Gävle, which is about 150 kilometers north of Sweden. Stockholm, sorry, in Sweden. It's the first gravity-fed distillery. It's 35 meters high, and we put a bar on top of it. And we now have a visitor center there, and you can go and visit, and you can see how they peat and how they malt on site. We also have an underground warehouse there, which you can visit, which is similar to our Bodis underground warehouse, which is an underground warehouse 50 meters below ground, which not everybody gets to visit, but it is really something to go and see if you get the opportunity. And we kind of mothballed the old distillery where we started for a few years. And of recent times, we've now opened it, and we now make gin there. We make 2 very good gins. So Mackmyra has been making great whiskey for 20 years. We have a big portfolio, and some of it we'll taste over this period, and hopefully through the next few seasons of our online tasting, we'll get to try most of them. But if you don't know them, go out and look at them, go out and buy them, and join us on a tasting. So enough from me, guys. I feel like I've been talking like a donkey again with boring presentation work. So I'll hand over to Gareth. Gareth, you're the man on the first whiskey tonight. It is Mack. Over to you. Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed, Shane. So yes, Mack it is. Here it is. Pretty big Mack, isn't it? Really distinctive bottle, real distinctive design. It's also around the label inside. You've got a black Mack as well. I don't know if you can just see that around the inside. There's a Mack going around there as well. Fairly minimalist. I mean, this bottle was about trying to get an entry-level whiskey in terms of price level, not quality. So it's a 3-year-old whiskey that we make, single malt whiskey. You can see that maybe it's looking a little bit dark for 3 years. Now, we will hold our hands up and say this is the only whiskey which we add a little caramel to take it down to the color. Our main Swedish customer did demand that we do that. So it's not something that we normally do. All of our other whiskies, non-chill filtered, nothing added, no color. But this one needs to sit on a shelf. So in the glass, you see it's really quite a rich dark color, but there is caramel in there, so we can't learn a lot from that. The legs as well, 40%, so not very high alcohol. The legs on it, not too strong, but visually it looks good sitting on a bar, really nice. But this is the interesting bit. Put your nose in. Oh, a breath of fresh air. This is one of the amazing things I get from Mackmyra is for such a young spirit, 3 years old, you get a full head of the fruit, which is predominantly the pear, a sweet pear, and a little bit of green apple on top. And that core DNA, it kind of sits right throughout, I think, the product range. And we blend and we move other things into the whiskies and finish and do different things with it. But that core flavor that comes from the distillation process and the raw materials, all Swedish materials, gives it that wonderful smell and aroma, which I know goes on to the taste. So I'm going to taste it because I can't wait to taste this. This is good stuff.
Agreed.
And there it is. Sweet, easy to get into, nothing violent, nothing sudden. The fruit comes and hits you, stays with you, and then just lingers through on the tongue. It's got obviously a hint of caramel, of citrus in there on the finish, and some bourbon, of course, from the wood. Although I'm not touching the wood for a great deal, so it's not very predominant, but such an easy whiskey to drink. You can literally get a hold of this anytime and have a shot, and it's a great entry into our range. We do market this also for mixology, for mixing with other ingredients, making some great cocktails as well. It's kind of designed to fit on the back of a bar. It's a nice sort of sexy bottle and a running shelf. But it's down at the bottom price level, and it's really for the value of the money that we take for that. It's a fabulous whiskey, really interesting to get into, and nothing offensive about it at all. Sweet and pretty innocent, really, and starting its journey, and we'll see a lot more of this whiskey appearing in the other whiskies, the core whiskies, and some of the other moments and seasonal ones that we'll do later.
You know, Gareth, it's quite right what you say. I mean, this retails at most stores between £32 and £35. So for an entry-level 3-year-old, it's exquisite, isn't it? I mean, it's 40% ABV, as you said. It's easy to drink. It's for anybody wanting something different, who's coming into the market of whiskey, who wants to try something different. I know in Selfridges, for example, out of our range of their stock, this is the top seller, which says something for the whiskey. It's got a nice shape to it, and you said for the bar rack, you know, for speed pouring, and it's different from the rest of the range. And you'll see the rest of the bottles; they do vary a little. This is entry level, but you can be mixed or drunk neat as it comes, as a bourbon or as a whiskey. It really is a versatile brand. I love it. I think it's exceptional.
So there's no fancy box, there's no frills, there's nothing extra on the labels or anything like that. It's our raw product in a raw sense, and that's the best we can give you at that price level. And it's an amazing start into the journey.
Yeah, it was originally designed specifically for the Swedish market, for their Systembolaget, which is their Swedish liquor stores. And we brought it over here, and the demand is unbelievable. It seems to be growing day by day. It's such good value for money. Really, it is.
How many years?
You don't get any lawsuits for calling it Big Mac. That's all.
Big Mac. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Gareth. That was lovely.
No worries. I'll carry on drinking it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Gareth, sorry, Matt, you were going to introduce us to our next whiskey tonight, which is probably in the range of core, one of my absolute favorites. So, over to you, Matt.
Well, guys, listen, I've probably got this esteemed and awesome task of introducing to one of my favorite whiskeys in our range, in our entire range, never mind the core range. Brukswhisky, guys, amazing 7-year-old whiskey. It's got a 9.5 rating in the Whiskey Bible this year, and last year, Gold Lapel Award winner for 2019 at the Whiskey Awards. Absolute gem of a thing. One of my favorite things I enjoy about this, probably the smell of this whiskey itself. When I pour it and bring it to my nose, guys, generally it just hints of butterscotch, banana, that kind of thing. But what gets me the most about this bottle, and about the packaging especially, is everything we do at Mackmyra, we've got a little story on it. So if you take a look at the bottle and the box itself, you'll see our old Brukswhisky distillery that Shane was talking about. We've got a company logo. If you flip it around, nice little picture decaling of our gravity-fed distillery. That carries on in the bottle, really ornate, nicely designed. If you look really carefully, you'll see these little orange things over here somewhere. Those little orange things there, those are little mage flies or Mickey flies. Brooks Mini.
How old is this? How old is the liquid that you're doing there?
7-year-old liquid. We've got first falls. The first fall I think was about a 200-liter cask of bourbon cask. It was a 5-year-old, and then we've got about a 100-liter cask of Swedish oak as well as sherry cask in that, and then finally 200 liters of ex-bourbon casks that have been done in that recipe. The reason why we do that is you're trying to like make quantity so we can get the recipe right every time, and that everybody has a proper Brooks whiskey. We've dubbed it the breakfast whiskey, that being at 41.4 ABV and a 70 cl bottle, guys. Probably want to get with. Yeah, I don't know about cornflakes though. But during this time period globally, I think it's probably the best whiskey to start off for the day, Gareth. 100%, mate. And yeah, it's something I really enjoy. It's one of the whiskeys that actually captivated me when I first started with Mackmyra, and purely just on the nose, banana, a little bit of butterscotch, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of hint of mint. Goes down a treat.
Oh, it's lovely.
On my palate, straight away I get a bit of fresh and fruity spiciness to it, a little bit of a pear character.
Yeah, it's always there, the pear. The pear,
the pear and the vanilla, yeah. It's something that we get through our whole range. And it's basically an expression that shows you what Mackmyra is about. And it just gives you a baseline of how we make whiskey at the end of the day. And it's a superb whiskey. As I said, 95.5 rating on the Whiskey Bible. You can't go wrong with this as a whiskey for your first start of the day, guys. Good little tipple.
So just to reiterate what we were saying a bit earlier, guys, thank you, Matt, is the difference in the bottles. So if you look at the Mack, it's a very easy holding sort of light glass bottle, whereas the Brooks has a lot more depth. It's a heavier bottle. It's got more glass on the bottom. It has these dimples on. Some people use to hold it. It has logo top and bottom. Gareth, can you tell us about the dimples on it?
Well, allegedly, I mean, it's on all the range. I'm looking at the Svensk Ek here as well. And so the range upwards have all got these little dimples on.
Yeah.
Now, there are 8 of them. So we think that maybe this is meant to represent the fingerprints of the 8 founder members. We don't know if that's absolutely true, but it sounds good. So I think we'll stick with that for a bit of folklore. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about touching a hot glass with your bare hands, mate. So I think that's a bit dangerous. It's a bit dangerous.
Matt, can you highlight what the logo is?
Yes, the logo itself over there, guys. If you can see the logo on that forms on all our bottle tops and underneath our bottles. That's just basically the brace or braces that you have connecting the houses, and it's just the beam that holds it together on either side of the wall. So if you're in England, and most of us, you guys are, you'll have an X on the other side of the wall, that iron X that you see on most houses that hold it together. That's just the Swedish version of it, and that's basically the logo. It hangs on top of the old Bruks distillery. And that's basically how we got our logo. I was trying to find one, and we decided, okay, well, look at that. Let's make that our logo. And it's just something that keeps in tradition with the Swedish way and the whiskey itself in the distillery.
What's also nice, guys, is that the whole range now comes in a gift box. So from here on in upwards, apart from the Mack,
and the Intelligence,
everything comes in a gift box, which is really nice. And all the information on it, Matt's quite right. 94.5s on it, 95.5, sorry, from the Whiskey Bible. And a little story, everything that's on the bottle is there. There's even a picture of the old pot still that they developed. So a really nice.
One of the things I love about the bottles when I've had a look at them is some of the quirky little things they do. And I love the way that they take, wait a minute, let me show you the barcode there on the bottle. And then they turn it into barley stalks.
Yeah,
I think that's a really nice little neat trick there. They've done that on quite a few. That's a really innovative little thing there.
Yeah, kind of went into this.
Yeah, it's a nice way to showcase like the Swedish ingredients that we use. Luckily for us, we've got all the peats, all the barley that we need, and good spring water, and it's all 100% Swedish ingredients that go into our whiskey, guys. So I mean, the box does tell it all.
You're absolutely right. So they only use Swedish ingredients, only Swedish yeast, only Swedish barley, water, oak. It's all local. It's all local to the distillery. The juniper's local to the distillery. The peat's local to the distillery. We don't bring it in. We don't farm it. It's all natural and it's all organic.
Interestingly, you see about the water. There is a story that they were so happy with the water in the brook next to the original distillery. They wanted to use that, but the new distillery was 15 miles away. So they ran a pipe and piped it down 15 miles. Fortunately, it's downhill, so they didn't need a pump or anything. But so they're still using the original water out of the original recipes, which is a great testament to terroir, for that French word.
Yeah. I Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mess with a good thing at all, especially if it's perfect whiskey coming out.
And I think they've got the consistency and just show their dedication when they built a new distillery. That the product they used in the old distillery is exactly the same product they're making the new distillery, and they've kept that tradition. And just to finish off on this, if I may, is that this is a 5-year-old single malt. Entry level is around £43 retail. But for a gift, for someone who's looking for a gift, who wants an entry level whiskey, you really can't beat this. It's light, it's sweet, it's got everything that is Swedish. Thank you, Matt. That was lovely.
Not a problem, guys. Not a problem.
So
it's a good one.
That is one of our better ones. We're on to our third one in the range, Svensk Ek. Gareth, I believe you're hosting this one as well.
Yeah, I'm delighted to. I love this this one. Now things start getting a little bit interesting. So Svensk Ek, Swedish oak, literally. Interesting because we're now moving up to 46.1%, standard percentage for everything else we do.
That's right.
Not a particular reason for that. It's the percentage that was chosen by Angela Dorizio, our chief nose officer. And I think it really gives a good blend between a decent shot of alcohol and the actual flavor of the spirit coming through as well. So it's underwritten in everything we do. It's about balance and harmony, the balance between the spirit, between the wood, and between then what has been touching the wood. And most of the range that we do, there's that harmony. There's nothing extreme in any of the ranges that we do. So this is introducing Swedish oak. Now, Swedish oak grown in a very cold country. Tight grain, and they make the barrel, they chop it down, make the staves, dry the wood for a year, and then start making the barrels, 30-litre barrels and other large barrels. So new barrels, completely empty barrels, and putting the whiskey inside there. It gives a huge peppery burst, chili, a lot in there. So which is why we have to limit it. So just 10% of the whiskey that goes into this make is coming from the Swedish oak, which has touched the whiskey. So let's have a look at the bottle itself. There we go, Mackmyra Svensk Ek, and the color of the bottle. There we go. I'll put it in the glass first. There we go. Have a little look at the glass there. So this is more like a little light amber. Taking it off there. So this is 7 years now, dialing it up a little bit more. So this has got a lot more activity on the wood. With the alcohol there, you can see the legs, a little bit more legs coming through on there. Just holding off, and let's get into the nose. So that's interesting because the Mack is so fruity overload. You don't get that with this. You get a little bit more laid back, and the spice and the butter, melted butter, and edge just comes through. A little bit of fruitiness, but not that big waft that you get from the Mack. It's fighting with something else. It is fighting with the wood, and the wood now is taking into the flavor profile. So let's have a taste. Mm. Mm. And there it is. Oh, it sits there, gives you a little bit of explosion where you get that peppery spiciness tingling on the top of the mouth and the tongue, and then it locks down, still holding on to that spice, but then the Mackmyra core comes through, the DNA, the sweetness of the pear and everything, and then that just lingers on for quite a while. The spirit is strong. You can taste it. It's really fiery in the mouth at the start, but taking the dial down to just 10% is such a lovely blend. It's like you want a really hot curry, but not too hot. You want it just and this gets that blend really nice between it. Of course, ginger, black pepper, oak, of course, and then maybe a little bit herby bitterness right at the end, just a kind of bitter herb flavor, but always those fruity undertones coming through, the vanilla. Maybe an old cup of coffee that's been sitting there for an hour or two, and you can smell that old stale coffee. I don't know. I seem to get that as well. But it's 46. Some people add water to this to take it down. I don't personally. I love stronger whiskies, but you can water this down a little bit. Non-chill filtered. You might get a little haze, a little product, a little oil, but that's natural and expected. So absolutely fabulous. With the 8 dimple bottle and the logo on the top. And the logo on the bottom of this one as well. I've got it upside down. Look at, there we go. Logo on the bottom. So I think this, if the other ones are breakfast whiskies, I think we're definitely getting into early evening stuff here, because this is not to be trifled with. It's got a great kick and a good bit of alcohol to go with it. So there you go, Shane.
Thank you very much, Gareth. I'm sorry, guys. There's been a lot going on. There's been so much going on the public. People are going crazy on the tasting tonight. Andre Rossner says, "Yeah, Svensk Ek rules." Thanks, Andre. We agree with you. I find with this one, even the color, even the color is orange. Okay, I know the orange label does add some tint to it, but I think the Swedish oak kind of adds that coloring to it, and it screams it to it. And you're quite right, Gareth. If we were to put 80% Swedish oak in here, it'd probably blow your head off. Lovely try. It's just lovely. I think it's easy to drink. It's exceptionally different. It is Swedish. It's unique to Sweden, and it's unique to us.
Any chance, like, how did Sweden actually get all this oak? By any chance,
Gareth?
Sweden's not really known for oak, is it?
No, it's not. Do you want to grab this one, Gareth, or shall I?
You can take this one. You can take this one.
So history says that the Swedish royalty died out. They had no heirs at some point, and they introduced a French royalty nobleman to head up the royal family in Sweden. And with him, he brought some French oak from Limousin, and he planted it with a view of using it to go to war for warships. Not realize that the climate in Sweden is vastly different to that in southern France, and cold, and it took a lot longer to grow. And so the wood's got a lot more texture to it. It's a lot more denser, and with that, you get a lot more spiciness, a lot of herbiness. And the folklore goes that they planted the trees, and about 200 years later, they got a telex or a telegram from the agricultural department at the Navy. And it said, your wood's ready for harvesting to come make your ships. And that was, I think, 1972, actually. So the world had moved on, but Swedish oak had only just come into fruition. So it's only being used now, and we get to use it, which is fantastic.
I love the little touches, as I said, and on the bottle, I don't know if you guys can do this, but on the front edge, they've got like the rings of the oak etched into the front of the box. Just little touches like that. Really. What I found fascinating and really fulfilling was, although this is the core range, they're gorgeous whiskies. It's not like this is the basic stuff and not great, and we need to move you on. These are fabulous whiskies in their own right. So they've got the same DNA, the same product underneath them, great spirit going into these, and then a few different innovative routes to get them through the 3, 5, 7 year route to get us to market.
Correct.
Beautiful.
Mountaintop Reviews has just said Jim Murray seems to like you guys. Yeah. So yeah, he may do. We don't send all our whiskies in. We do 17 single malts. We don't send them in every year. When we do, we publish the ratings. We're not scared to hide them. I feel we should do more of it because I think we've got really good liquid. But the ones that he does post, he does like, obviously. So hence the good ratings. But thanks for asking. So guys, we are nearing the end of the core range, which leaves me with the dubious task of introducing probably all of our liquid. So let's clear our glass. That's one more swip before we move on.
Chin chin.
And I'll keep that for later. Svensk Rök. So,
Rock! Keen on the 1st of April for some more rock, guys.
April, we're rocking. So, Svensk Rök, Swedish smoke, people. This is the Mackmyra's best kept secret. We only make 2 Swedish peated or smoky whiskies. This is our entry level. This is our very first. In fact, we only make 1, and we use exactly the same liquid in our bigger or more exotic one. I'll tell you a little bit about it. It says what it does on the label. It's smoky. And you'll see if you look at the box, there are like pine needles etched into the box. That is the reference to the juniper twigs that we use in the peating process. And I'll come on to more of that in a minute. So, Svensk Rök is a 8-year-old Swedish peated or smoky whiskey. As you can see, it comes in a 50 cl bottle, not like a 70 cl bottle. The reason behind
why is that, Shane? Actually,
is because when we first made this, we do all the peating on site. So there's a lot of hand to liquid interference. It takes a lot longer and it costs a lot more to do it, a lot slower. So we do our own peating and malting on site. We built a 20-foot container. We put a wire mesh floor in. We stuck a smoker outside, and we peat our barley on site. What we do differently, what the world doesn't know or hasn't been able to copy us, is that we take the peat, the bulk from the region around us. we put it into the smoker, and then we place juniper twigs, not the berries. Everyone says the berries. No, we make gin with that. We use the twigs, and we peat the barley with that. We also take this another step further. When the peated barley comes off the dryer, it's probably the same ppm, around about the same as Lagavulin, and we feel it is heavy. We don't want to go to sort of 64 ppm. We want to keep it much lighter. So we took 25% of the peated barley, and we took 75% of the unpeated barley, and we made this product. Now, what you need to do, guys, when you open that bottle, I just smell campfire. It's before I even put it in the glass, guys. It's there. It's evident. Put it into a glass. Come on, Gareth, catch up. This is
come in, hang on. Smell.
Straight out the bottle.
Campfire on the clothes, you know.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Lovely.
Yeah,
Lovely.
it's like sitting around a campfire and you wake up the next morning and your clothes stink of smoke. This is exactly what it is. So it's more smoky than it is peaty, and that was the whole aim of this product. Vanilla, pine, forest, caramel.
Beautiful.
Coffee. It is beautiful, isn't it? It doesn't give you that TCP, that diesel, that burnt tar kind of finish. It's a much softer, much easier kind of whiskey to
the
sniff.
acidity of the peat is really dialed down with the smoke on top. It blends it in nicely, so you don't get that harshness. But some people like that real harsh peaty flavor for the Islays or the Freuds, Lagavulins, Ardbegs, etc. But this really sits and has a nice, as I said, blending and balance between it. Wonderful. And to the guy who's watching, who said, "You guys are going to be sloshed real soon. Don't worry, we're professionals about this. We do this for a living. So don't worry about this. We're in charge."
What is Svensk Rök? What does Rök mean? It means Swedish smoke. It says what it does on the label, guys. Swedish smoke. Right. So let's try this, because it is one of my favorites.
Let's try it.
On the hash, boys.
Super easy. I'm a long-standing Islay freak for many years of cast strength Isleys, but this is a different dimension for me. It is completely unique. I feel there's nothing that quite grabs that kind of smoky flavor as opposed to peat flavor. Two very distinctive flavors. But if you like peat, you'll love this. And it's an entry level, as Shane said, into people who've never tried peat before. Maybe a little bit too extreme, but you get your mouth around this, and it's a wonderful flavor. There's
like a latent coffee mocha that comes through. It's sublime. It's unbelievable. You know, when we do tastings, Gareth, Matt, every time we do a tasting, whether it be at a whiskey fair or an event or a private tasting, and we introduce this Svensk Rök, it doesn't matter what we pick on the night and we put up against it. It comes out as one of the top 3 finishes every single time. 9 times out of 10, it comes out of one of our best, i.e. first or second. So, you know, you can sell this, you can buy this, you can give it as a gift, knowing that people will gravitate towards it. I found people who've never had peat before really like it, and people who want something different, who don't like heavy peat, gravitate towards this. It's something, you know, you can sit and you kind of you look for some, you know, what else is in it. It's got the forest, it's got the pine, it's got the juniper, adds that forestry needle, fresh pine cut forest leaves. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Shane, you mentioned there was 2 smoky whiskies. So the second smoky whiskey we do is another version where we're using American oak, Amerikansk. And we will do a tasting of that as well, but just a heads up, it's similar, but that American oak gives that nice vanilla sweetness and just dials it down a little bit more and introduces a bit of a sweet vanilla in there. And that is a fabulous combo. So we'll do that on another tasting, definitely.
Yeah, I think we've got a lineup for this weekend, to be honest. What it does do, because we put it in new American oak for 2 years, it adds a woodiness to it. So it kind of gives the bonfire, whereas this, you know, this is more campfire, smoky. It gives it a more bonfire. You're sitting around a bonfire, you feel like you're sitting at a bonfire. So we'll introduce that next week. It's a 10-year-old. It's one of my favorites, if not my favorite. Again, it's all available on .co.uk, guys. So get on there, order your products. It really is it's really one of our better ones that we do. So, guys, that seems to be the tasting for this evening. Before you all go, I guess I better just say thank you to everybody tonight. Thank you, Gareth, thanks to Matt for coming along tonight, giving me up some of your time once again, guys. Sorry?
It's a tough job, but somebody has to do it.
The reason we're here is because we have to be. No, it's not like that. We're bringing whiskey to the world that gives us reason to live, to be honest. So thank you for everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you for all the comments coming. Sorry I didn't get to them. There's a lot on coming up. I hope Richard, who's been doing our back end, and John have been replying to all of them. If there isn't any,
Yeah, good job. Good job.
Please come online and get on our social media. And yeah.
Sorry for interrupting, mate, but don't forget to tell them about that nice little competition we've got going on, mate.
I'll get to that in a minute. Thank you, Matt. Basically, guys, as you can see, this is going to be an ongoing thing. We're going to try to do it every other night. We have another team in the UK who will be joining us shortly, hopefully next week. We also realize that, doing the core range all the time is a little dull. So we are going to change it up as the weeks come and go. We're going to be introducing new range of whiskey. We're also going to have special guests coming on. I think this Thursday we've got somebody from the Somerton Club, which will be great. I think Dan Humphrey's coming on to join us, which will be a great evening. Talk about his whiskies and what Somerton Club's up to. So that's also going to be fun. We'll try some of his whiskies on the night. Also great whiskies from Mackmyra, and just keeping it fresh and new. But it's not just for Mackmyra people or people who are related to Mackmyra. If you have a private party or a function, or you're a whiskey club, please join. Get hold of us on one of the social media websites. We'll do exactly the same for you. You can buy the pack, or we can sell you bottles, and we'll work around it, and we'll introduce the range to you. Have some fun with it. Get onto the social media, ask us about it, and we'll come back to you. Just to the competition. Tonight we are giving away this bottle, as I said. What you need to do, thank you, Gareth, is tag yourself drinking it with a friend or on your own, and post your picture on one of the social media platforms. We have Facebook, and the URL for that is on the bottom of the screen. Instagram, again on the bottom of the screen, and of course Twitter. We'll get hold of you, and we'll pick a winner, and we'll send you this bottle of whiskey. Guys, this is a really worthwhile whiskey. You have to be over 18 years of age, and unfortunately you have to live in the UK. But thank you very much for this evening. Thank you for your time. Thank you to Gareth and Matt.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
One question response to Mountaintop Reviews, who's been very busy and active on the site, who's asking if any one of us is the actual distiller. No, we're UK-based brand ambassadors. So we're here in the UK representing a fabulous Swedish whiskey. I'm hoping to get across to Sweden. My flights were meant to be this weekend. As you can imagine, they're cancelled. I was hoping to meet the head distiller, Angela, and the team out there doing a fabulous job. But we're here as the disciples and giving the message about what great whiskeys that they do.
Thank you, Gareth. Yes, that's us. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to drop them onto social media. One of us will get back to you, if not one of our other team members who will also be in this and down the road. But see you on the other side. We're back Thursday, 7:30. We're back Saturday at 6 o'clock. Please join us. Please get involved, and please try Mackmyra.
6 o'clock on Saturday, we're going to do some special seasonals and some moments as well. So we're really looking forward to that one.
See you guys then, guys. Enjoy. Good night.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Maddie, we'll see you on the other side.